What's up, everybody? It's your boy Deshaun, and welcome to another episode of Average Joe Sports. Again, it's your boy Deshaun, and we're gonna get into a couple topics here that are relatively serious, and yet at the same time things that we all can typically agree with. Normally, this vlog is usually used for sports. And rarely do I ever get on some sort of a soapbox to declare, something being outlandishly wrong. For those of you guys have watched, if you guys saw my expose, if you will, on the Penn State things with the child molestation case with Joe Pa and all that stuff, that was a very hard vlog for me to do, mainly because I didn't want to get too much on the soapbox. I just wanted to, express how it was going to work within the university's sports program, and how you shouldn't blame players on a team for something that somebody else did that has nothing to do with you, and so on and so forth. So this will probably be the second hardest vlog for me to do, mainly because it's the idea of race, which we'll get into here, is a big deal, seeing as I am black. Most of my friends go, "You're not black, you play soccer and you played hockey, what's wrong with you? And you played lacrosse." Well, yeah, though I do enjoy those sports. I am in fact black, so you should know that. Anyway, but before we get into that, I guess some more bad news here. Finally, my Avs played last night, as in the Colorado Avalanche, played last night against the Minnesota Wild, and sadly, they fell in 7 games to the Minnesota Wild at home in overtime. Despite the fact that the Avalanche did lose, I'm actually very, very proud of what my team has accomplished this year. They literally went from the bottom of the barrel in the Western Conference to the top in a season. And Coach Patrick Waugh, I had my suspicions and my doubts on how his coaching style was going to work, but he kept the guys fired up. He coached a very well. He coached the game very well. He coached the season very, very well. But I think, sadly, youth ultimately gives way to veteran teams. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. However, Varley, man, you got a weak glove hand, man. You got beat 3 times. Glove side, top shelf. And every time you got beat, you just stood there like this. Like an idiot. So I'm saying, I love you, dog. I do. You played a great series, but you got used in Game 7. And I feel bad for you because, again, as a team, and it's not your fault completely. Gotta blame the defense for not getting into the gaps, not helping you out to block shots. But as a whole, and I said this on Facebook, when you give up the lead 3 times in 3 periods, you deserve to lose, unfortunately. So again, it's a sad situation to see my Avalanche lose in the first round, especially when you lose at home and when you have home ice advantage. But as a whole, the season was actually a success, in my opinion. All I wanted them to do was be consistent, and I wanted them to compete in the Western Conference, maybe, back into a wild card spot, and see what we can do from there. But they met and exceeded both my expectations. So good on you, Avalanche. Till next season, Coach Patty Waugh, you're all right. You're all right with me, man. I love it. Keep up the intensity. Bring that fire. The team is really rallied around you and has put you on their shoulders. So keep up the good work until next season. So go Blackhawks. That's like my 3rd favorite NHL hockey team. So yeah, go Blackhawks. I'm sure I got friends who will appreciate that very much so. So on to more serious issues here. As we all know, a couple days ago, Adam Silver, now commissioner of the NBA after David Stern, finally left the building. One day against Seattle fans. We'll have a team. We just have to wait. But he kind of had his first test of what it means to be a commissioner for a professional sports franchise. And he did that by dropping the hammer on one Donald Sterling, man's 80 years old, still owner of the Los Angeles Clippers. But he got busted for saying something basically he shouldn't have. He basically said he didn't want black people in his stadium. Now, I get it, and I'll jump into more of this here in a minute, but we'll look at the fines and the punishment here. He was fined the maximum of $2.5 million, which in the grand scheme, for a guy whose net worth is $80 billion or some crap like that, is kind of a drop in the bucket. But the most important thing is he is actually been given a lifetime ban from the NBA. Something a la Pete Rose. Now again, Pete Rose got busted for cheating on baseball. Donald Sterling got popped for basically saying something that was off-colored. And people will say racist. And for those of you guys who don't... yes, he said he didn't like black people. Okay, granted. And yeah, though that is a racist statement, that's something very, very small in comparison to what he did prior to this. I think this was the statement that kind of said to the NBA owners, and the commissioner said, we can't have you be a part of this organization anymore. There was an article written in the LA Times some time ago, and I don't actually have the source and who wrote it, but basically it talked about how Sterling, when he made his money as a property owner, he basically tried to run out both African Americans and Hispanic Americans out of his properties by only doing checkups and upgrades to properties that were being rented by white and Asian tenants. So he got busted for that, and he wound up settling out of court with the with LA County and the city of Los Angeles for I don't remember the amount. I think it was undisclosed, but yeah, he settled out of court from that, and I believe after that he then bought the LA Clippers, a franchise that up until the last couple of years has been kind of the garbage bin of NBA teams. I mean, let's face it, we all know in LA the Lakers are the big show in town. Now, with Blake Griffin and Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan, they become a hit. Lob City. That's where it's at. But it's interesting how this situation that he didn't know that potentially anything that he says can and will be used against him in a court of anything. In this case, it wasn't a court of law; it was a court of public opinion. At the end of the day, it's no secret that we live in an era of YouTube, which is what I'm using now to post this vlog, and TMZ and Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and all those social networking sites. Basically, you don't have to wait 2-3 days for news to come across the wire anymore. We don't live in that era now. We've gotten to the point where anybody with a digital camera on their phone or in their pocket is their own version of TMZ. I mean, to be quite frank, we're putting TMZ out of business, to be honest with you, because now TMZ and the other paparazzi affiliates, I think the Star and the Daily Mail and places like that like to print out a lot of fluff. They're having to work a lot harder because people are can just wind up hearing these things in person and being able to record them. So I could stand on the on the soapbox and say that being racist is wrong because socially speaking, it is. But on the other hand, and I think that it's something that a lot of my friends aren't going to like what I have to say, and I think a lot of people aren't going to like what I have to say on it because I'm towing the line of devil's advocate on this one. And again, I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just stating fact. But yeah, so socially being racist is wrong. That's true. But your right to freedom of speech grants you the right to say that you don't like something or someone. I don't like beef stroganoff. This is one of the common defenses that I use. I go, I don't like beef stroganoff. And when someone asks me, hey, Deshaun, I'm going to make, hamburger helper, with ground beef and the beef stroganoff and the sauce and the whole nine. You want in on this? I go, no, thank you. I don't like beef stroganoff. I think it's disgusting. Ate a lot as a kid, didn't like it then, swore up and down once I became an adult, I will never eat beef stroganoff for the rest of my life. Now, I'm not shouting it from the rooftops, talking about, I hate beef stroganoff and holding rallies against beef stroganoff. But as an American, it is my right to say that I don't like beef stroganoff. Whereas it is Donald Sterling's right to say that, well, yeah, I don't like black people. It is his First Amendment right to say so. Is it socially acceptable? No. It is not socially acceptable to have that opinion anymore. It doesn't stop people from having that opinion. Okay? Now, when you are in the business that, people like Donald Sterling and, NBA owners, celebrities, and things like that, anytime you're in a position where you make lots of money, ironically, that's when you don't actually get that freedom of speech, because everything you say is being held under a microscope. So, I mean, you could say, I don't like beef stroganoff, and then all of a sudden they go, well, why? All of a sudden you get these, crazy, topics of, does not like beef stroganoff, is so-and-so secretly racist. When that's not the case, you're just stating the fact that you don't like beef stroganoff. So, but when you're, as I was getting ready to, I'm, again, flying off the seat of my pants here, so it's going to be a little bit more long-winded than normal. But I think ultimately when you are someone in a power money position like that, there are times where it actually works to your benefit to just shut up. Don't say anything, okay? That's ultimately at the end of the day, Donald Sterling got popped for not keeping his mouth shut. Like, you should know that in the era of Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and TMZ, where information can be gathered very, very quickly at the drop of a hat, you have to kind of keep some of your thoughts and some of your opinions to yourself. That's, and that's what the new social norm is becoming. So in a sense, yes, your freedom of speech is being taken from you, but it's not like you can't say what you want, but you have to be more calculated in how you say these things. And to another aside point, now we know that he's being busted for being racist. That would be Donald Sterling being busted for being a racist and the whole nine. Let's look at the other elephant in the room, where he basically states that he doesn't want Magic Johnson in his stadium. Are you effing kidding me? Like, think about that for 1 second. I don't want Magic Johnson in my stadium. You didn't build that stadium. That is a stadium that Showtime built. Okay? If it weren't for Showtime, you'd still be playing in the Forum, in that piece of crap stadium. Actually, you probably wouldn't even be in LA, period, if it wasn't for the Lakers. Understand that. You insulted one of the 50 top players in NBA history. And in accordance to, big men, for example, or center forwards, which that term isn't used anymore, but he's on the Mount Rushmore of big men, along with, Kareem and, God, I'm going to take so much hell for forgetting all these things. But, with the Kareems and the like, he's on that Mount Rushmore of all-time big men. Plain and simple. He was the best at his position. He's got the stats to prove it. And he's a legend in the NBA. That's like saying, I don't want Michael Jordan in my stadium. Are you kidding me? You can't do that. You can't say that. You are not at liberty to say that. Just as a social, standard. Like, you don't spit on, NBA royalty or baseball royalty and so on and so forth. Like, you don't hear people say a bad word about Babe Ruth. Why? Because he's an effing legend. Plain and simple. But again, that's the other elephant in the room, that you just insulted a legend in the NBA. Never mind the fact that Magic Johnson is black. He goes so far as to say you can sleep with Magic Johnson. I just don't want you posting your picture with him on Instagram. He was talking to his girlfriend, and either his girlfriend was recording it, or B, she had a friend in the room who happened to be recording that particular point of the conversation. So, and that's another thing. as well with his girlfriend, whose name I don't actually have on my notepad, but people who follow the story know who she is. But as we all know, she is half black, half Hispanic, which ironically are the exact same people that Donald Sterling dislikes the most: African Americans and Hispanics. I mean, it's kind of ironic that, you know, she chose to be with this man. And I don't know the ins and outs of their relationship or whatnot, but I know that the sex can't be that good. Okay? She was in love with his money. Plain and simple. So again, she had the lack of self-esteem as well. But to kind of get back to the point of of racism and race, again, you have the right to say that you don't like somebody or something, or even a race of people. There's just a time and a place where you can say that. Again, socially speaking, it is unacceptable. Like, you shouldn't say things like that. You shouldn't. You know, it shows that you don't have any common sense, right? But freedom of speech wise, yeah, you can say that. Yeah, you can say I don't like black people. You can say you don't like white people. You can say you don't like Hispanics, Asians, Puerto Ricans, and a lot. The freedom of speech grants you the right to say that. You know, unfortunately, in Mr. Sterling's case, this is an example of how freedom of speech actually worked against him. And he had to pay the price. This was one of those things where, again, the NBA just didn't want to be associated with this man anymore. Now, the other elephant in the room for the NBA after this is how to get Donald Sterling to sell the team, which he has already stated that he's not going to sell the team. Now, granted, the 2/3 of the majority of the NBA owners can vote that he must sell the team, can vote him out, and therefore he has to sell the team. However, just because you make that vote doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to sell the team. I can all but guarantee you that he's not. And on the point of selling the team, Sonics fans, it's not going to happen. Okay? Get your heads out of the clouds. The LA Clippers will stay in LA because you're not going to trade a team from the #1 sports viewing market. Actually, I think it's more like #3. You're not going to trade that and put them in the number 13 market. Now, granted, you can easily say that, well, they took the Seattle Supersonics from the number 13 market to like the number 26 market. And that's true. However, in comparison of how much money that LA draws, that the LA television market draws, to the amount of money that the Washington State market pulls, it doesn't pull much water. It just doesn't. So I mean, again, got hope for the Milwaukee thing. Not really hopeful on that either. We just have to pray for expansion. That's how I want my team. Plain and simple. I don't want to steal a team from another city because then we're no better than Oklahoma City. That's just the ends, and that's the end of it for me. This back to the to the subject at hand here. This brings up an interesting thing that one of my friends on Facebook kind of made a point to address, that with Mr. Silver, commissioner of the NBA, kind of stepping up and making the decision in which he made on Donald Sterling. That he basically said that Adam Silver has the nuggets to do what he did. I hope that Roger Goodell can eventually find the nuggets to do the exact same thing. To which I told him, and for Roger Goodell, that's the Dan Snyder issue with the Washington Redskins. That whole issue of change the name. Are they going to change the name? Is he not? So on and so forth. Dan Snyder is the owner of the Washington Redskins, and I told my buddy that though in a nutshell, the two things are the same thing. But when you look at the actual, if you look inside said nutshell and you look at the furniture, you'll notice that it's actually two completely different things on the inside. Mainly because, again, one is blatantly dealing with racism as an owner. That does have, that's right there, playing in your face. However, the Washington Redskins issue, though it does have to deal with race, it has more to deal with a trademark. I don't believe that Mr. Snyder has used the phrase Redskin in public, to demean the Native American people. I don't think I'm not saying that he's dumb enough. He's not dumb enough to do so. I'm just saying that he's smart enough to keep that moniker specifically with his team that he owns. And and as we discussed it on Facebook, I said, color me naive, but if you took a poll of of all Americans, and said, when I say Redskin, what do you think? Now, what's the first thing that comes to mind? I don't think, I guess if you did this poll maybe 10 years ago, but obviously in the forefront of the media now, yeah, you would go, well, yeah, that's a moniker demeaning Native Americans. But I do strongly believe that most of them will go, oh yeah, it's a team in Washington D.C. Yeah, they it's a football team, And I don't think that most people's mindset would immediately go to, the demeaning of Native Americans. So I don't think in the sense of, making, so much, ejecting Mr. Snyder out of the NFL as an owner would be the correct thing to do. The only thing that Commissioner Goodell can do is suggest that he change the name. And if the group of his peers, in this case, his peers being the other 31 owners in the NFL, if they don't care, if they don't want to vote on that and make him change the name, well, there's nothing that the commissioner can do. Whereas in Mr. Silver's case, all the owners basically called him and said, this has to end. This has to stop. Commissioner Silver does not go into making that decision without the okay of the other owners in the NBA. Again, much like being the president, you are appointed by your peers in that case, the United States. People vote for who the president is. Therefore, he is appointed by the people. So, if the people don't necessarily care about the situation, there's nothing that Commissioner Goodell can do. Again, it's an example of both things being about race. Yeah, they're the same, but looking deeper on the inside, it's actually something completely different. You're talking about a trademark versus an actual racist remarks that were made by a person. Because if you're going to say, well, by saying the Washington Redskins, you're being racist, well, then we're all racist in that case, because we watch football. And they go, oh yeah, the Seahawks are playing the Washington Redskins tonight on Monday Night Football. Boom. Well, you already said the word Redskin. Plain and simple. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox and kind of end it on that note. Again, primary lesson: we live in a world of social media. Watch what you say. Not necessarily take away your own freedom of speech, but just be aware of what you're saying and when you're saying it, and also how you're saying it. Again, I don't like beef stroganoff, but I'm not stepping on the rooftop going, I hate beef stroganoff. Again, it's a stupid defense. It is, but at the same time, it's as simple as I can get it. So again, on that, Donald Sterling is ousted in the sense of NBA, from an NBA operations standpoint. He's done, but he's still an owner. Lifetime ban. Understand that he's 80 years old, and I don't want to jinx the man, but he's gonna die soon. Plain and simple. Everyone goes lifetime ban. Well, when he's dead, it's not gonna matter. Plain and simple. Also, to round off the point here, let's just say the Clippers make it all the way to the finals and they win the championship. Sterling still gets a ring. He still owned the team going into the playoffs. Therefore, he gets that championship ring. So at the end of the day, at least from this season, Sterling won. Plain and simple. But, you know, then looking over to the future, yeah, he won't necessarily be a part of everyday operations for the Clippers in looking forward into the future. But right now, he's still, as far as I'm concerned, he's still the owner. And then the following season, you know, then his ownership is, as far as I'm concerned, is over and done with. Again, the correct decision was made, but it should have been made sooner at the end of the day. But to end things on a much more positive note, I'm actually starting rehearsals for a show called Passing Strange. It's a nice, cool little skit. Start rehearsals for that here in the next couple days. It opens June 13th. As a matter of fact, Friday the 13th. I know, right? I'll post more about it when we get closer to it. Also, another theater that I work with, they're opening Avenue Q here in the next couple weeks as well. Again, if you like Sesame Street, if you like puppets, and you like a little bit of sass to go along with it, this is the show for you. Got a bunch of my friends in it: Justin Wayne Lynn, Jesse Smith, Karina Lapid-Munter, Ryan O'Donnell. I believe James Scambati is in it. A bunch of people, so many people. Michelle Abad, and again, tons of people, tons of good people. It's a good show. You should go check it out. And stuff. Check out these skits. Seattle Theater always can use support from everybody. So yeah, go Avs, go Sounders, Mariners. Can we please, you know, get it up positive? And NFL draft's coming up. Don't care who we get as long as we don't get Johnny Manziel. Peace out.